Hey guys, this is Nika and Rest, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. Today we're answering questions that nobody asked us.
Yes, so we're gonna jump right into it. So I saw this on a forum and was like, what in the world? And then I actually end up seeing that this has been asked on multiple forums. So we don't even know if this is a real question or not. It's almost like a urban myth of questions. Apparently, everybody on every forum have seen this. But this is my first time coming across it. So the title is My Husband is Mourning His Dead Mistress. My husband is mourning his dead mistress. 3 months ago, the woman who was having an affair with my husband died suddenly from an accident. I found out about the affair only 2 days after her funeral. I thought she was simply a coworker, and I was wondering why my husband was so disturbed and emotional. He quit his job, saying it was too traumatic to go to work. She was in the early weeks of pregnancy when she died, and my husband doesn't know whether he or her husband was the father. So, on top of everything, he's also grieving for a baby, which may or may not have been his. I find it extremely difficult to be emotionally supportive when he wakes up at 3 a.m. crying and trembling. Yet, I don't have the heart to yell at him like I want to. He says she's dead, so there's no reason for me to feel jealous or threatened, and asks for my understanding as he grieves. We've barely talked these last weeks because I don't know how to respond to my husband when he cries and says he misses her and wishes she were here. Then also, how much he loves me and that he never intended to leave me. I asked him to visit a marriage therapist together, and he said he's not ready to work on our marriage and thinks he needs to see a grief therapist instead. Do I need to give him time to mourn the loss of his mistress, or should I demand he focus on our marriage? Can I just get like a round of applause for me going through that whole thing without like catching an attitude, without stopping to suck my teeth or anything? Like I pushed through that, didn't laugh, didn't chuckle or nothing.
I guess I was gonna tell you because
So much to
I was over here
unpack.
like,
Yeah, so much to unpack. You need to leave him. Like that's short story
that's
is
the first thing.
that's the first thing because so there's a chance he had a child on you. Y'all marriage is crumbling, and he's saying instead of working on our marriage, he needs to work on his grief for her. Like she's dead and you're still in the back seat. You're still not his top priority. He's saying he wasn't gonna leave you. He was definitely gonna leave you. But in fact, more than likely, the only reason he hasn't left you yet is because she was still married and hadn't left her husband.
Right.
You know, this is how the oxygen channel is like surviving. Shit like this. Like men are just out here, men and women, people, foolishness. People are out here doing shenanigans. And this is why we have so many ID investigate TV shows, because there's no way I would have handled you crying once. Like once. You cry once, get out. See if she can house you at her
You
grave.
can go have her.
Right. See if she will comfort you at her gravesite. Like, I'm not doing it though. Like, whatever. I don't care how insensitive it is. I'm not being sensitive to you and your dead mistress. No. Yeah, I have nothing
It's just
else.
like, okay, for me, it's just like if he's doing all of that, yeah, she's not there anymore. But now we're thinking like if she was here, you would be trying to be with her. But I have a thing with it, but it's not the same situation. But I get that all the time too. But it's not like it was a mistress. But guys from the past, if they try to talk to me now, they can't, because guess what? They're standing in a dead man's shoe. That's what they say, or they say that all of this stuff is all this grief and it's all this like frustration from it. So I understand you. But the thing is, the only thing different that he actually cheated on his wife with that person. And so it's just like, and you're still mourning her, means you still loved her, which means you probably shouldn't be with me. Yeah. But on the other hand, she's dead, so it's not like you can do her like.
I mean, it's the principle of the thing, Neek.
So, I mean, I get that all the time.
It's the principle. I don't care if she's dead. I said, it's the principle, Neek. I don't care that she's dead. It's the principle. I'm not doing this with you. I'm not shadow boxing.
It's the principle. Mine's also a different situation, but I'm just saying I have gotten it. But no, I have gotten it. But it's just like with multiple. Now it's up to 3. So it's just saying, like, I get it. But the thing is, with him cheating and then the fact that she was about to have a kid, all of that should have been, even if she was dead or alive right there, we're done. And I'm not about to hold your hand while you grieve somebody who's cheating on with me. Like, I agree with the leaving part. I definitely agree with the leaving part.
What? She is going
But
through
if
her
she
own grief, though, on top of that. Like, you are completely telling her to ignore the fact that you just blindsided her and hurt her in an extreme way. And you're telling her, I need to grieve first. I will handle your feelings when I'm finished. Okay? Let me go over
he
here
never cared
and
about her feelings anyway.
oh, ever. Ever. Like, my whole thing is I'm not gonna shadow box with anybody. Like, anybody. Period. Like, if there is somebody you still have something unresolved with, I don't care about the situation. It's just not in my personality to go through that. There are some people who are loving and forgiving and who are like, no, I understand that. I don't. And I'm not gonna pretend I do. Like, I know that's who I am at the core of my being. And so I just don't put myself in those situations. But with this, like you said, it's completely different because not only is it a matter of, okay, you're hurt with another person, how do I handle that? But it's like, no, this other person was someone you impregnated, unbeknownst to me, someone that you love, someone who is deceased, and you are still putting their needs above mine. We are actually having a
After you've been doing that for how long? Yeah.
Right. We are currently having a crisis in our marriage. Me, you're a live person, and you're still telling me I need to first handle the grief. I got to handle the dead woman stuff. And I just, no, you need to leave. He doesn't respect you. I don't care. He doesn't respect you. I don't. How do you fix that? Also, my biggest thing is I really feel like if you stay, that man is never going to have respect for you. I don't believe he's ever going to respect you. You really let him, like, if you let him stay, you have set a precedent that he is allowed to put other women's feelings. Your marriage is not his top priority, and nor does it have to be for your love and loyalty. That's what you're saying if you stay. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I agree.
Now,
I don't think she should stay at all. I think she should leave for sure, but she shouldn't even have stayed, even if the lady was alive, dead or alive. She should have left.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. I would not have been, the amount of petty I would have been in this situation, like, kudos to her for even being like, let's go to therapy, counseling, because the minute he said that, I would have been like, and you can join her. Doors locked, everything's changed, and that would have been it. Like, that would have been, that's how I would have handled your grief. No. So, yeah, I have nothing else to say on this. I'm mad that this is possibly even a real scenario.
So you're saying that you think it's not real and that it's on a whole bunch of blogs?
Well, yeah. So when I read this one, it was actually on like a third-party site. Like, so the original person they sent it to was kind of like a Dear Abby type person. And so I was reading people's like comment on this forum, and they were saying like, yo, this ain't even a real story. I've seen this one at least 3 times in the last 5 years. So people have been saying that they've seen it multiple times. Then I copied some of it and I put it in, and I did see it all over the internet. So I don't know if it's a matter of, it's one of those urban legends that's just so crazy people keep reposting it, or if it was like a real story that people just can't get over, and every now and then they repost it to see what people's idea is. Because that's the thing that happens too. There are some stories that are real, that really happen over the years. Other people have just taken it and reposted it, and so it keeps coming back like a boomerang. And the person who actually went through, this was 10 years ago. Like, I'm happily married. We don't know what happened to him. All right, you can go on to yours.
It says, should I take the new job offer? I've been accepted for a new role, but I'm scared of the change. My current role is working remotely as a first-line tech support agent, but the job is pretty dull and can be quite confrontational with calls from angry customers. The only benefit is that it works from home and the salary is paid weekly. Also, depending on the ratio, it can also be unsociable hours. The new role will open doors to learn new skills in technology. Currently, the role will be based in the office and possibly will go hybrid at some stage. The new job isn't local and will be required to move to another city. The city isn't as nice where I currently live and will miss the area I've been living in, as it is what I call home. I just don't know what to do. I mean, it's a lot of goods and bads. I
Hmm.
mean, I kind of think he should leave though, because it's not only thing the benefit of there is staying and something he's familiar with. I mean, he sounds like me. Like
No, really. When you're
I'm
saying that, I was
familiar
like,
with
oh,
something,
for real. Interesting. Keep going.
but I have needs here. I have needs here. I don't want to get served at other places,
Whatever you have to
but
say.
but it doesn't seem like he even likes his job. The only thing that he likes about it is working from home. And that
Mhm,
could be a real good thing. Like for me, I kind of wish I could work from home just so I could be sociable with
mhm.
other coworkers. That would be my biggest thing. But other than that, I don't really see a real reason. If I like my coworkers, I would be okay with, I guess, getting up and going. But I really just don't want to have to interact with people every day or act fake every day, put a mask on every day, just go to work. Really don't like that part because it doesn't seem like it's a lot of benefits to stay there other than getting paid each week and working from home. But he didn't say much about the new job except for he would get more experience.
So we don't even know like if it's you're really moving for like something you're excited for or anything because he doesn't really give detail if he's
Yeah.
excited. Um,
That's the thing too. We're only moving for a job. Like I can move to a different state, but it has because I want to be in that state more than the job. But if I'm only moving for a job, that doesn't seem promising to me.
well, so
I don't
okay.
get much.
I disagree with it just because, like, okay, the job that he's talking about is kind of low key a dead end job. Like, his current job, there's only so much you can move up and down in his current position. Um, he is about to get a job where he's going to get new skills. He's going to get advancement. Like, even just being able to get new skills that you don't have to pay for, like, people are paying you to have these new skills that you will be able
Mm-hmm.
to build upon and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I think that's worth it. Like, here's my thing. I think you have to be honest about who you are as a person before you make that type of jump. If you are a
Yeah.
person who is okay settling and stuff, then really think about it. Like if you are like, no, when I'm happy, I'm happy. I don't need to be a billionaire. I don't need to, have the nicest car, blah, blah. If you're a person who's like, no, well, I can pay my bills. I'm fine, happy. If that's more your attitude, then yes, I agree that then there needs to be a lot more than that job in order for you to move. Because it seems like,
Mm-hmm.
even if you aren't excited about where you are, you know what to expect. You get to work from home, your bills are being paid, whatever. And you might get to another place where, yes, you're making more. Yes, you're doing all this, but there'll be some frustrations. You got to find new friend groups. It's hard to find people to date, things like that. But I
Yeah.
think if you are the type of person who really thinks long term, you got a 5 year plan, 10-year plan, you want to move up, you want to be supervisor, you want to do, if that's how your mindset is, I say always take it. I say always take it. I say you
Mm-hmm.
end up kicking yourself when you have these opportunities and you don't take it. When I finished grad school, I actually had an opportunity to get a full ride for my PhD, but it required me to move to a school in Kentucky. I had just had a baby. I had like a 3 month old. My relationship was like breaking down. I needed a job. And so, like, I turned it down without
Mm-hmm.
even thinking into it. And, like, it's like what?
Mm-hmm.
7 years later, and I still think about it. Like I still think about like, yo, I really turned that down. But anyways, I say that to say,
But
and
that's the
then
biggest benefit being paid for sure.
yeah, but yeah, so like for me, like that was something I'm still thinking about later, and like I kick myself about because like even though to be honest with you guys, I really didn't want to move there. It was Kentucky. I didn't want to move to Kentucky. Also like I was done with school. I was tired of school. But like in my head, every now and then I'll just be like, man, I could have been a doctor. I would have been able to have Dr. Rest on my signature.
Yeah.
I would have been able to correct people like, that's Dr. Rest, by the
Like
way. That's the only reason.
yes. So if you even if you
But no, I
mm,
only bring that up to say like I know with me, I like jumping at new opportunities to grow myself, to grow my skills, to grow my profession. Even when it's stuff that scares me, that's my personality. And so what I'm saying is with him, if he knows that's his personality, that he does like new things, he does like new adventures, go. Go even when you're scared. Go even when you are like, I'm gonna make friends. I'm a blah blah blah. Look, I have had to restart my life over like 5 times as an adult. It's fine. You'll do it. You get up, you
Mhm.
move, you figure out a way to make friends. You figure out a way to date. You figure out a way to get around the city. You will figure it out. But my thing is also really know your personality, because that's not a thing to do if you are very sheltered. If you're not okay with being alone. If you're not okay with having a couple months where you don't know people. If you don't like restarting. And that's just being honest and truthful with yourself.
Mhm.
Because there's some people who don't like that, and that's perfectly
Yeah.
fine. So that's how I would say if I was him to decide, because I do think the benefits are you can learn skills that can have you, especially in IT, where you can later take those skills to become your own boss,
Mhm.
your own independent contractor, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But you have to have the personality to take that and then push yourself to do those type of things. Like if you just go to a job and you just do what they say and you don't ever really think about expanding on, then it's still a great opportunity, but it's not as big as one if you are a self-starter, if you're very ambitious, if you're blah blah blah. Because you can't just like learn a skill and then all of a sudden you're a boss. Despite what Instagram says, it
Yeah.
takes some
Mhm.
motivation on your part. But I think if he is a
Mhm.
self starter, I think if he has higher dreams than doing what it is he does now, if he has dreams of being a supervisor, of being his own boss, stuff like that, if he's okay with being alone, or if he thinks he can manage to be okay being alone, because sometimes we have it in the past and you put yourself in a new situation, you just learn how to do it. I would say go. I would say go, but I acknowledge that that type of get up and go, it doesn't fit for everybody. And that's perfectly okay. He needs to sit
No.
and think
Mm-mm.
if that's him, if that's his personality.
Yeah. I think that that's come just basically down to the personality type.
Hmm.
I would have to have
Kids,
every single thing in order.
you need a lot of support. I think that's just your biggest thing. I don't think it's a matter of necessarily you even. I think you have get up and go. I just think you need a lot of support. You're used to having a lot of family near you. You're used to having that, and I
Hmm.
don't think you've ever not had that.
I mean, when I was in Cincinnati, I didn't have anybody.
You are cracking me up, my beautiful Pisces sister, because you really are like, yeah, but I was in Cincinnati. Girl, that's an hour away from your folks. Even Kentucky, that's what, like 2.5 hours?
But in Kentucky, I didn't have transportation. I was always stuck there, and I was crying. And most of, in Cincinnati, I couldn't come home sometimes because I was broke and I was crying. So I'm just like, so it was like
I know.
you could say it's close, but I was broke. And like in Cincinnati, I was like the brokest I've ever been in life.
I,
So I couldn't even come home sometimes, and I
girl,
missed some family functions, and I was sad.
girl, I want them to see my parents face to face for like 4 whole years. So, like, it's
But you're
our
comfortable with that.
concepts. I know, I know,
Oh
I
God.
know, I know, I know.
Oh God.
Our
Oh,
concepts
oh,
of
that's gonna be
comfort.
crazy.
I know, I know. As long as we can talk on the phone, I'm fine. I know you're okay. Cool. Every now and
Um,
then, one of like my aunts or like my mom or like my dad will like remind me, because like you know how I am. I'm very much, if I want to do something, I get up and go. I do it. I don't really think about like, oh, will my parents be scared? Will they be concerned about me? I have not called them. Are they gonna be okay? Like
mhm,
whatever. And every now and then someone will remind me, like, and you know your daughter is gonna be you times 10. And you're gonna see what that's like. And I'm always low key
mhm.
terrified, because even now, I low key always think about moving out of Atlanta once my daughter turns like 14, so she don't have to drive here. Like I just don't want her driving in Atlanta. I don't want her getting on I-85. I
No.
don't like, and I'm just like no, because she's gonna have my personality times 10. She has her dad's hyperness, and yeah, I'm gonna get my own medicine, and I don't want it. I don't want my own medicine.
Mhm.
But see, more than likely,
She's
Journey will
gonna be
be
good
like you, because
person.
Journey likes being close to you, like
Oh
likes,
yes, she
yeah.
does.
So you won't have to worry about that. Journey
Sometimes
will
they're
probably be like, yeah,
adorable.
I'm gonna go to
Mhm.
UD.
No, but I'm not gonna want her to.
Yeah,
I'm
you
going
won't
to
have.
want her to go somewhere else to experience life. But
Yeah.
she is very much so
Mm-hmm.
up under me often. Like even this weekend, the kids was going somewhere. She didn't even want to go. She just wanted to stay with me.
Yeah.
So just like, no, live your life, baby. I can come to you. Mommy's gonna come to you. You're my family now, so I'm gonna come to you and my grandkids.
Look. Hey, that's what happened with me.
You
So
ain't gotta
it's a
worry.
thing. It is definitely a
I'm
thing.
saying that's gonna be me. That is definitely gonna be me. Just watch it.
Okay, so we're wrapping it down. We're wrapping it down to it really depends on your personality. If you are really want to expand yourself, you really are okay with knowing that there might be a period of isolation, there might be a period of having to be alone and figure out how to find friends in a non-organic way, especially during COVID. If you sit there
Hmm.
and think about those things and you're okay with it, you think the payoff of learning this new skill and be able, and you think you can take this new skill and do something else with it, because that's also the biggest thing. I don't think it's worth the move if it's a skill that you're just going to sit there in that new town with and just sit. Like, no, it needs to be a skill that you're like, ooh, I can take this and I can make this into something in 3 years. And it don't even have to be like be your own boss
Yeah,
or whatever, but it's just, I can take this and help this to upgrade my life somehow.
and
That's,
use it in some type of way.
yeah, yeah. So that's my 2 cents on it.
You have another question?
Yes. All right. The next question I have, the title is Husband Earns All the Money While I Study. I'm 24 years old and married to my high school sweetheart. We waited to get married till after I got my undergraduate degree. We live in South Africa, and before you can do your master's degree, you need to do an honors degree. I finished my honors last year while
Hmm.
planning the wedding and decided with the full understanding of my husband that I will continue on to my master's this year. Everything was fine until he started experiencing some difficulties at work relating to financial situation of his company. We have enough saved up to support us for at least 6 months. I'm a scientist and it's important for me to do a master's if I hope to ever find a job in my field. As of a month ago, he started referring to the money in our account as his money, and he's always buying everything. I received a scholarship last year that covers all my university fees, and I'm using the rest of the moment for petrol and other necessities. He makes me feel bad about studying and not working and keeps comparing his work to me doing nothing all day. He expects me to do all the house chores on top of that. My studies take up most of my time, so I'm not just lazy about it. I'm at the university the same amount of time, if not more, than he's at work. But because I don't have an income, that automatically gives me housewife status. I feel that I am being bullied financially as I spend as little as possible and work my backside off to get everything done. I feel because we are married, we should both pitch in the household chores and the money should be considered ours, not his. Any advice? So I'm gonna throw this out here. I know people hate when I say it. I think 24 is too young to get married. I don't think you know yourself. I don't think your
Yeah.
person knows themselves. And I think that's how you get in these situations where you're like, I did not expect them to do this. I promise you, he did not expect his reaction to be like that. Why? Because this is probably the first time he's ever been in a financial struggle while having to take care of a household or have real
Hmm.
bills and responsibilities. So you're figuring out this side of his
Yeah.
personality at the
Yeah.
same time he is. Why? Because he's still figuring himself out, doesn't know who his core being of him, who he is. So just want that out there. And I know there's lots of people that got married at 24. There might be listeners now like, hey, I'm 21 and we're married. I hear you, boo. Talk to me in 5 years. But that I think is one of the issues. But also, I have been in this situation, which is one of the reasons why I picked this one. I was in a relationship when I was going to grad school, and I was going to grad school before we were in a relationship. Like, I had decided I was going to grad school. They knew this. At one point, I became pregnant. And at first, when I became pregnant, I was mad because I had just signed a lease somewhere else and had to lose my deposit because they're like, no, you're pregnant. You live together and blah, blah, blah. And every now and then, when there was financial issues, when there was an argument of any sorts, it became a thing of, and I'm working my ass off, and you just out here going to school. And especially when we broke up, when we first originally broke up,
I was about to say, and when we broke up, yep.
of course we're cool now, but like when we first broke up, hearing an ex's version of what happened in y'all relationship is always fascinating to hear. Like, it's like, oh, and then what
Hmm.
did I do? Huh, wow, he really edited this whole script up. Because his version when we first broke up was that he supported me through grad school, and then I left him once I got my degree. That was his version. What he left out is that no, when we moved in together, I literally had about 1 year to go. I was
Mhm.
pregnant. I went to school from 7:30 a.m. to 7 at night. No, 8 a.m. I had to leave at 7. 8 a.m. to 8 at night, 2 days a week. 3 days a week, I had to work
Mhm.
an unpaid internship, but it was still work. I just didn't get paid. But I worked from 8 to 5 at that place. I was in traffic for anywhere between an hour to 2 hours with my very pregnant self, all the way up to before the day I gave birth, doing that. Also, I worked, so that's 3 days that I am not, I'm gone from 7 something until 8 something. And then I worked part time on the weekends. And we did get into this whole like, and I do so much, you just out here going to school, when it was like, sir, I'm a whole 9 months pregnant, going to school full time, doing a full time internship, and also working part time while holding my hair back to throw up. Um, and
Exactly.
I I don't know if partners understand, especially if your partner has not done the traditional school route. I think that's also a disconnect, because my partner did not do the traditional school
Mhm.
route. And so I think he did, and I think same thing with this woman. They don't have an understanding of how much work it actually is. They're thinking of work like high school work. So they're like in their head, like,
Yeah.
I didn't work at high school. I had to come home and blah, blah. They don't understand that, no, it's a different type of intensity. And then once you bump it up to grad school, that's a whole different level of intensity. I'm not sitting here writing a 5-page paper by Christmas break. I am writing a 5-page paper every week for this one class. I have a
Mhm.
whole other class where by the end of the semester, I have had to read 40 pages and defend it. I had to write a whole thesis, which took me a whole year of research, a whole year of working with the clients, actually doing the work with clients, going back, making sure I have all my data from the work I've been doing, making sure that I'm collecting it the right way, using different systems, learning the systems to put it in, giving my study approve. I think it's called the IRB board. It's a board that approves research studies. They have to look through all your stuff and decide if it's ethical, whatever, whatever. All that. Say not to say, I think sometimes it's a disconnect of how much work it actually is. It's not schoolwork like, oh, I'm in high school. It's a whole different level of work. It's a whole different level of work than when you're in undergrad. And I think there's just sometimes a disconnect because they haven't been through it, so they just don't know. They just don't know, and I think even when you talk through it, it's hard because, again, especially if they only have a certain level of school experience or what school feels like, and it could be bachelor's and like, nah, I was partying and I went to school and I was cleaning my room and I was drunk 3 days a week and still did it. And it's like, yeah, you are also 21.
Mhm.
But no, I think it's
Right.
just I think it's a lack of understanding of that. No, that is a real job. That is a real type of heaviness. That is a real type of work. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the same amount of work. I'm just unpaid for it. Um,
Mm.
same thing. I remember
Mhm.
me and that same partner had got into it one time because like they threw in my face like, well, I'm on my feet all day. And I am on my feet and I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, you get to sit down in your little cushy office and blah, 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 blah. And I had to explain, like, yes, I get it, because he was a chef. Like, yeah, I get it. You're right. You are on your feet. Your hands do come home with blisters. You are having a heavy load. And that is what your pain is in your job. But you know your recipes like the back of your head. So you can do that with your headphones on, cooking, take them off every now and then, be like, okay, you read your order, they put on a ticket, you yell at somebody because they did something wrong and go about your day. You don't have to think about what you're doing as much because it's natural for you. So you using your natural
Mhm.
talents, you're mostly using your body is the hardest part. While I'm quote unquote sitting on my cushy desk, which I didn't because all my jobs have me in the field. None of my jobs are like just sit down office jobs. My
The
current
whole
job is
time. Yeah.
yeah, my current job is the most sit down office job I've had. And I feel like I only feel like that because of Corona. Because even before Corona, it was like maybe 50% in the office. But I had to explain to
Mhm.
them, like, okay, cool, cool, cool. But like, I'm going into the jails. I am talking to mentally unstable inmates. Didn't no guard walk me down there. I said I had to see them, and they opened the door, and I had to walk around the jail by myself and find this person. Me and this person
Mhm.
are literally inches away from each other when they have a psychotic episode. I'm out at a hospital where, again, I'm working with those who are mentally ill. I'm working with those who are dealing with charges. I work with a guy who had a delusion about me. He had a delusion that me and him were related. That was his thing. That me and him I was his cousin. And he used to always be like, man, you know how auntie blah blah
Mhm.
blah. And I used to be like, yeah, man, because I'm not about to argue with a person about their delusions. Like that's always
Right.
been my that is my form of therapy. Like if you have a delusion, one, I found that you can't argue a person out of their delusion. Okay. You
Mm-mm.
can try to reason after
Mm.
time, little things like, oh, okay, but if the sky is purple, it looks kind of blue now. Is that weird? Okay, okay. You can do things like that to slowly bring it out, but like I'm not arguing with a person that has a delusion. It never works well.
Yeah.
But I had a guy who that was his delusion. So he used to always run up to me. He always want to talk to me whenever I was on the floor. And at one point in time, I had to talk about something very private in regards to his case. So we had to meet privately. I had a guard near to keep both of us safe. You also want to make sure your
Mhm.
clients also feel safe along with you. So I kept the door open, had a guard, but I can't remember what it was, but he went from 0 to 10 instantly. Like I was sitting down, he was sitting down, he got up, was heading towards me. Luckily, the guard got in between us and he was like full on screaming, like they had to tackle him down. They had to call for backup and tackle him down.
Mm.
And this was the same client who had broke one of my coworkers' nose just a couple months before.
Oh my goodness.
Like broke her nose, like she was out for months. So I remember me and him having this argument. I'm like, cool. So you are on your feet all day and you are, I get it. You do grilling work. I was like, do you understand that I get cussed out on a normal basis? Do you know that
Mhm.
I have to learn how to duck and dodge while trying to have a simple conversation about people's progress plans? I need you to understand, like, yeah, there's some things I had a whole client try to pimp me before. I had a whole client the whole time I'm doing a biopsychosocial on this dude. And he's just like, yeah, you a thick girl, You know what? People think these men like skinny girls. Men don't like skinny girls. I got a couple politician friends. And you yellow? Yeah, man. What you got? What degree you need? And I'm not catching on at this point because this is like so, for those of you who don't know, biopsychosocials, it's like getting all the person's background history information to kind of make sense of where they are now. Okay. It's like developing a
Mhm.
story of them, who they are, how they came to be this, their education, their family, their all that. So, this is like my seventh one of the day. And seven is a lot. Okay. Most of us stop at four, but I think I was new and overambitious. But so I wasn't paying attention to this man. But at some point he said something. I looked up like, huh? And he was like, okay, okay. You got your master's, okay. Mm-hmm. You got a good government job, you look like a respectable lady, so you probably know how to keep your mouth closed. And that they'll pay you more if you keep your mouth closed. And I'm like, what are we talking about? This man had a whole plan that he presented to me while I'm working on his case plan of how me and him he was gonna put me on one of his rosters, and it was a couple politicians that he knew. And he could make sure I was bringing home 1,500 a night. And I was like, sir, first of all, I'm gonna talk to your probation officer. That's what we gonna do. Because I don't think you're supposed to be
Exactly.
pimping while on probation. I just don't think you're supposed to be pimping while on probation.
Mhm.
But no, like there was a disconnect of like, okay, this is what my stress looks like. This is what your stress looks like. I am
Mhm.
doing things too. Just because my work does not look like your work does not mean I'm not working. Just because you're not seeing my income does not mean I'm not contributing and I don't come home tired as well. And I just think it's a matter of them not really understanding how that is work. I think a lot of people, especially again, if
Mhm.
they haven't been through it, to them, it's probably just a matter of like, oh, okay, yeah, you sit down and write a little paper and then you come home. Like, no, we don't. We get yelled at for raising our hand and having the wrong question, like answering the wrong question because we're adults
Cussed
and no
out
one
every
babies
day.
us. Your professor does not care that you have
At
a
all.
full caseload of classes and a full time internship. She still requires you to read 150 pages by next Thursday. Like, it's a thing.
Mhm.
So I guess my whole thing for her is just kind of having a conversation of like, okay, I need you to understand this is what my day looks like. And try to explain to him, like, no, this is work. Okay, I understand I'm not bringing you money, but we also reminding him we had this agreement. We agreed to this a year or two ago. You said yes. I understand we're going through a hard time now, but because of the career choice I have chose, because according to what she said, she can't even get any type of real job without her master's in her
Getting that,
particular
yeah.
field. Just breaking that down to him. Also, it's only a year, it's paid for. And honestly, let him see the benefit of y'all, what happens when you get that job. Pulling it out like, look, it's a year.
Mhm.
They're paying for my school. They're giving me enough money that I can pay for gas to go back and forth to school, help out with food and stuff. We got 6 months worth of savings. During that 6 months, you can also be trying to look for another job. Okay. You literally just have to work for 6 more months. And then I will be graduating. I will be graduating with a good degree, good grades. I'll have good prospects. I'll have enough money that if you need to take a break, if you are like, well, maybe it's my time to go back to school, then we can do that
Yeah.
if you believe in that.
And just look at it as a pro. Like it's a lot of benefits of it. Like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have to stick to the plan that we both decided on.
yeah, yeah. Because also, when you have an opportunity that's that good, to turn it down for temporary struggles is going to have you kicking your leg for years to come.
Mhm. I
Oh,
agree.
and don't let that marriage not work. And then you have to look back about
Mhm.
how you walked away from a full ride scholarship because he had his
That's
egos
the
hurt.
other thing. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
So essentially, fuck him, get money. That's that's the reply in a nutshell. In a nutshell, that's what I'm saying. But I don't know. I also
Yeah, she should have waited. I think she should have waited till she finished her full school too.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Do you have anything else on that question?
I kind of feel like she should have finished her degree before they got married. Maybe she shouldn't have got married so young, but also just laying out everything that's going to come after she finished and remind him of the promise that they made to each other. Is all I have.
I agree. My biggest thing is do not throw away a degree that you need fully paid to soothe someone's ego.
Mm-hmm.
That's not love. Because if a
Yeah.
person wants you, they're going to be like, we'll figure out a way to make sure you can get this. Because this is not only a benefit for you, this is a benefit for us.
Yeah. It's a team effort. We're married now.
Yeah. Okay. Your next question.
Okay. Hi, I'm looking for some advice or what other readers might think about the subject. I met the most amazing man 20 months ago. Initially, it was a hookup, casual, but we both fell for each other, and now I'm definitely in love with him. I haven't had very good relationships in the past, so for a number of reasons, I have reservations. We live 2 hours apart, but we speak daily. We meet up at least once every 3 weeks and always have a great time together. He is kind and respectful and makes me feel beautiful and safe. And I just enjoy everything about him. My biggest concern is that long, after this long, he hasn't told his ex-wife about me. Should I worry about this? I broached the subject with him and he has reassured me that he will tell her when the time is right. They are still extremely close, and I believe he is just afraid to hurt her. I don't think there's anything else going on. I trust him in that regard. But I think that if she finds out he's been seeing someone with this length of time, she's going to be hurt regardless. I think he sees a future with me. He often comments on future holiday plans, our birthday, etc. But I can't allow myself to feel happy about that when technically I'm still a secret. I don't want to give him an ultimatum, but what do I do? I feel stuck, not knowing is playing on my mind. I fear I'm being foolish. What should I do? Should I wait it out or should I wait it out? I don't want to lose him. When I was first reading, I was like, why do you have to tell her anyways? Why do they even still talk? That's why.
That's
Unless
the
they have
biggest
children.
question. That's the biggest question. Yeah, because but it didn't
Like,
say he didn't tell his kids about me. It said he didn't tell his wife's wife.
Yeah, but it didn't say it didn't even say they had kids, so I'm not sure if they do. Yeah. So if they don't have any kids, first of all, why is he talking to her? I don't feel he has to tell his ex-wife nothing, because if they don't have any business talking to each other for real, I don't know. Like I know I was in a situation when the guy didn't tell his ex-wife about me for a while, but they had kids. So I felt like they needed to, but the kids already told her before dad did. But I felt a certain type of way too. But I think in that situation, they probably trying to figure out if I really want to be with her or not. But I just don't understand why she needs the acceptance from the ex-wife if that's the ex-wife.
To be honest with you, I think she does not trust that it is strictly platonic, and it's a matter of thinking that it reads to me like, I want you to let her know so she knows you have moved on. There's no one leading anybody on. And I do feel like it sounds like he probably not telling because he is leading that woman on still.
Yeah, that they don't get back together or something. Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even to get back together.
She feels that way.
Sometimes men just like having somebody that they have on a hook, just in case it don't work with nobody else. They know they got good old standby.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah. And ladies, don't allow yourself to be that person. So do you think she should leave
him over that though?
I think my answer is always leave. Like, what is my answer? Not to leave.
Right. There's no reason to ask.
You could be sitting up here and be like, and he does not put the toilet seat down when he pee. Girl, leave. I don't even know why you dealing with this. You deserve so much better. There's men out here who will put their toilet seat down without you asking, queen.
Have your toilet seat down.
I don't know why y'all settling for this.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I think he is. Like, if you put it that way, I think he is keeping her on a leash just in case. Because I don't feel like it should be a problem. This is an ex-wife. I don't feel like why it should be a problem. But, like, if that's bothering her to that extent, maybe she should say this, or I'm just going to leave. Like, we need to figure that out, or we're going to leave.
I mean,
how else are y'all going to fix that?
I don't believe in getting ultimatums. I don't believe in getting ultimatums, but I do believe in like being assertive. Like, you don't have to give an ultimatum, but you can say, yo, I'm not down with this. This is not something I feel comfortable with. You can, if you want to explain your explanations, explain it. Okay, he explained it. That don't make no damn sense. I don't like that. And I'm telling you now, I'm going to let it marinate. But if it continues, I'm going to marinate myself out of this. And it's not a threat. It's not it's just, And I really want to know her age because it says ex-wife. So I want to say they're at least 25. Like, you have to be at least 25, right? I really think they're older, but at least 25. Once you get a certain age, I think your goal is to settle down. If that's your goal, I think you play yourself by letting things flow when it comes to time. When it comes to time, letting things flow, I feel like, I don't know, Maxwell or Babyface to sing it enough times, and now we believe it. Like, we're flowing right now. And I was like, girl, he 44, ain't never been married, have never been in a relationship longer than 3 months. you need to let him know. Like, he about to lead you on. That's all that history. He is about to play you.
That's what's gonna
So
happen, right?
yeah, like I do not buy the flow thing. There after a certain amount of time, if you don't know if what you want, then that's fine. But I'm gonna need you to clock out and move on. Let me hire somebody else. No hard feelings. That's fine. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want cool. I'm not mad at you about that, but you're not gonna waste my time. I feel like after I have a very
Yeah.
specific time where I'm like, if you don't know now, you won't know ever. And or maybe you will. Maybe a year later, you'll be sitting there crying. Because you know that's what happens. Women, when we break up, we're like crying sad. And we can't get over it. And then after like 4 or 5 business days, we're good. And we'll have like a moments of weakness. No, we'll have our moments of weakness for like maybe 6 months after that. We'll be good, and then we're randomly crying at the club. But you knock yourself up and you go about your
I know
day.
them.
I'll throw myself out there though. Like there was a whole period of time where like I could not listen to music because I would just call you like and this song reminds me of him. It just made
Yes.
me so mad. And you're like, what are you listening to? Bruno Mars. Like what Bruno Mars song got you in your feelings crushed? Like I don't know. No,
Right.
I mean, they both short, and I think I just correlated it.
No, stop it right now.
But no, I said it to say, like, with women, that's our thing. And then where you're like, 8 months, 9 months, a year, we're good. Where I feel like men is the reverse. Like when they first end, things are ended. They're first like, man, F it. And I can't believe I spent all that time. And they going out and they're on Tinder and they partying and they racking up mileage. And then a year later,
or they don't feel you can move on. That's just yeah.
A year later, talk about I miss her. Who? Blah blah blah. Sir, didn't she break up with you a year ago? I feel like you
Exactly.
you should have been but I promise you, with all my male friends, that's how it is. Like when they first break up, they're all cool. They're ready to go back out, party, and then once she's over it, that's when they're like, I was gonna marry her. Well, you probably should have told her that then. Also,
that was over, right?
Also, I really want to say be wary of guys who make plans. They have caught on to that's a thing that we like. So now they just say random stuff. Like, yeah, because in 2026, I was going to take you to Cancun. Like, sis, he don't know where he going to be in 2026. But men have caught on to the fact that if they throw little things like that out there, that will keep us like hooked. Like, oh, so he has future plans. So he does plan
in there, but with no actions at all.
All the actions are future. My whole thing is really have a conversation about where's this going? And is this going to be an ongoing thing where you have this weird relationship with her where her feelings take precedence over mine? This is something that's now making me uncomfortable and feel unsafe in our relationship. That you have this other person in your life who's important, who you used to have a romantic relationship with, but you refuse to let them know about me. I'm feeling uneasy about that. And based on his response, then decide if you want to leave or stay.
Yeah, it is about to talk first. Look at you.
Right? I mean, I have no plans to actually practice in real life.
Just leave. Look at you saying that, just leave. But okay.
Bye. The ancestors just really been working on me lately.
I see.
I don't know. As long as I don't have to do it in real life. Like if a real life situation presents itself for me to stand there and not leave and forgive, I'm gonna be like, yeah, y'all, I gotta go back to the testing grounds. I wasn't ready for this. I was only ready in theory. I was ready to forgive. So, did you have anything else for her?
No, I think like you said, bring it to the table, be direct, talk about it, and see how his actions flow after that, and then make her decisions after that. Because it's not about nagging, but more about just being direct instead of holding those feelings inside. Let's have a direct talk about this and just see how his actions flow after that.
All right, this question is from a 26-year-old about how things from our childhood affected them. To keep this short, I'm about to be 26 and my childhood was interesting. My parents got divorced when I was 5. My mother immediately got remarried to a man with money and played the game of moving to different places, even overseas at some points, and sending me with someone else yearly to dodge going to court. She was very abusive in many ways, ranging from she knew her husband molested me, watch him put hands on her constantly, and once she got divorced, she stole 20,000 from me for bills when I was 18 years old. He even told me how my father never wanted me, which is why he wasn't around, nor have I heard from him. Needless to say, I found out the truth later and cut that entire side of my family off. My dad and I now have a pretty good relationship the last 6 years to the point we talk daily. But it's been hitting me lately, like to the point I low key understand how my brother became a drug addict. Has anyone been to therapy for childhood related things? Was it helpful? Also, my 11-year-old sister, dad's child, has asked me a few times now that I've come around about my mom and why I don't talk to her. Any idea how to explain this? So, she was talking about childhood and going to therapy for it. Yes, that's a whole thing. That's a whole huge movement. There's a huge movement going on in therapy now called the reparenting movement. And basically, what it is you weren't given the parents that you needed. Even if you had great parents, some of us just, there were certain areas they dropped the ball. They didn't realize how dropping the ball would affect us in our 30s, but they did. And the idea is to go back and nurture and love that child and give that inner child the things that they need. You can do that through therapy. And in therapy, basically, when you're in therapy doing this, you'll talk to them about your childhood and they'll get a sense of your childhood. And then y'all talk a little bit about your current. And you guys will kind of match some of your childhood stuff to what's going on currently. And it can be things like, oh, okay, so you like to run from relationships a lot. Do you think that's because you saw your parents' relationships and you view relationships as toxic and as dangerous and emotionally unsafe? So whenever you start to get close to somebody, you run away because you're like, something triggers you in your body. You don't remember what it is, but you get triggered. And do you think that triggering is you having an unconscious moment of love is unsafe, because that's all you've been shown of love, that love is unsafe. Love is weakness. Love is tearing a woman down. Sometimes it's not even just that. It can be maybe you're talking about your anxiety or like, I'm so shy. And, you go to therapy, you'll talk about all your issues with shyness and how you never step up to do anything. And then they'll discover that, during your childhood, you weren't really allowed to speak up a lot. Your parents were very big on a child. It should be in a child's place. When you had different opinions, were quick to tell you that those opinions weren't your opinions. You were denied your own sense of reality. And then since we know, like, okay, so now that's seeping into your current issues of feeling inadequate, of feeling anxious, of feeling not enough, because in childhood you didn't get a chance to ever express yourself. When you did, you were told no, you're expressing yourself wrong, this is how to do it. But when you have that happen to you your whole childhood, that teaches you to not trust yourself, that you have to trust some type of authority outside you. Authority outside you knows better than you. When you have a parent who denies your own reality, that causes anxiety for you, because now you're an adult, there's certain things going on, but you don't trust things that are going on because your reality's always been denied. So now, even though you have no one actively telling you to deny it, you deny it yourself. And that's what's creating your anxiety. And so, yes, there is therapy for that. You can go to therapy for that. You can straight up tell your therapist, like, look, I need to do some inner child healing. And they should know what you're talking about. And it's still not everybody's practicing, but a lot of times you'll meet therapists and they might say, hey, I'm familiar. It's not my expertise, but we can work through it. We can learn through it. And honestly, guys, a therapist that's willing to work through it and let you formulate your plan, that's a good therapist. Don't let yourself shy away because you're like, no, well, they said they're not an expert in this. Because let me tell you, some of these experts, they're an expert at one thing. And sometimes that one thing is not what you need, but that's all they know. So instead
Mhm.
of being like, I think I need to refer you to someone else, instead they just keep sending you to this thing that's not working for both of y'all. So I just say that to say,
Mhm.
be nice to your new therapist, especially ones that are trying and they're listening to you and listening to your feedback and trying to make sure you are the captain of this shit. I think that's one of the best
And
things you
that,
can get.
yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the best things you can get out
yeah,
of a
not just
therapist.
like a number.
Hmm.
Yeah. Some
So,
just treat you like just another client. Yeah.
oh yeah,
And
that's
just, yeah. Mm.
yeah, I
So yeah,
definitely agree.
just make sure they put you at the lead of the ship, like you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain
And,
of the ship.
and it's so important to be honest with your please be honest with your therapist. I think I told you guys I'm doing therapy again. I stopped for several years. And yeah, just be honest with your therapist. Because when you come in, you'll do like an intake and they'll ask you what your goals are. And sometimes y'all come in and y'all give us nice little neat goals. I'm depressed and I want to work on not being depressed. Cool. I'm anxious. I want to not work on being anxious. And then, like in therapy, we'll be talking and we're focused on the depression, anxiety, because those are the concerning problems. And then it comes out that, hold on, that's not your problem whatsoever. You you got a whole other situation that's not being addressed. But you don't want to be honest about that. And now,
Mhm.
definitely tell things at your own time, but like, there's certain things that we could have wrapped this depression up so much quicker if I knew that's what we were dealing with. Because we can't touch on this until that is handled. That's definitely a thing.
Mhm.
But I say all that to say, yes, there is a therapy for that. I think therapy's amazing for that. Unpacking your baggage is what I would call it. Having therapy so you can learn to
Yeah.
unpack your bags. Um, Erica Badu, she used to have a song called Bag Lady, and the whole song was about a woman who carried too much baggage because every time she got mad, every time something bad happened, she took it, put it in her bag, and then carried that bag with her everywhere. And there's a part where she was like, "You can't get nowhere because
Mhm.
your bag too heavy," or something like that. So I definitely think therapy would help getting help to just kind of unpack some of your stuff and dig deep through that. Because again, a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with as adults now, when it comes down to it, it usually boils down to our childhood. A lot of the stuff that we think we develop as an adult really is all offsprings for something that happened really in childhood. Very few of us have
Mhm.
major issues that only happen as adult. And usually when you do have something like that, it's because you have some type of complex trauma happen as an adult. Yeah, maybe you went off to war, maybe you got in a traumatic accident, maybe you lost someone who was very important to you as an adult. Yes, those things do stem from adulthood and so forth. But a lot of times things like depression and never feeling like enough and not feeling like you can trust yourself to make your own decisions. Things like that typically stem from your childhood because you were supposed to get those tools to create a sense of safety about who you are and yourself and who you are in the world as a kid. And
Mhm.
a lot of times, most of us do not get all of those tools. And sometimes it's just a matter of our parents don't know how to even give us those tools. They didn't have those tools. So I think that is like one of the utmost important parts. And then also, I would say, in regards to how to tell some of the younger kids, like why you don't hang out with certain folks, this is something I am going through now. I definitely have a family member who is, or two, or three. Okay, so we got about 5 or 6 family members who I just don't interact with. I don't interact with. But I do have one of my little cousins who I love so much. And there's someone close to her. And every now and then she'll just bring them up to me. And I'm like, and I just try not to say anything because I really don't feel like it's my place. There, it's a really sticky situation where, to be honest, I haven't even figured it out because I still struggle with it's not my place to tell them this, but also
Yeah.
I feel you need to know because so you can protect yourself. And maybe that information will help you make sense of certain things that happen in your life. And I struggle with it because I had something like that happen to me when I was younger. I had a family member who was just very honest to me about someone I was close to. And they told me. And as an adult, I appreciate that they told me. But back then, I really resented them for telling me because
Mm-hmm.
the way one, I was very selfish about the whole thing. But two, it was like, why would you break down my world of them? All my
Yeah.
interactions with them haven't
That
been
way.
good. And now I don't know how to interact with them based on the new information you gave me, because now it's like
Mm-hmm.
I have this information, you being this horrible person here, and then I have this experience of you never being horrible to me in that way. And it
Right.
kind of
Right.
created a weird, hard period of time for me for a long time when I was trying to figure out how to figure that whole thing out. As an adult, I was like, yeah, she did the right thing. So if it's something that can keep them safe, I do believe in telling.
Yeah, I do
Um,
too.
if it's something that can make them safe. My whole thing is evaluate the safety of it first. If it's something that can keep that person safe, tell them. But
Mm-hmm.
also remember age appropriateness. Okay, that is all I have for that one. Do you have any other ones for that?
I don't have anything else for that one. No.
All right, and here, next question.
Okay. I found 1,500 images of other women on my partner's phone. Me and my boyfriend have been together for 8. We have 3-year-old son together. Our relationship was fantastic to begin, but after the birth of our son, I felt it went south. I gained around 80 pounds that I have struggled to shed due to PCOS. In my poor diet, not gonna lie, and our argument increased around 5 years into our relationship. He got a new phone and changed his password so it didn't know it because he said I was too snoopy. I did snoop a bit, but that was just checking all as well. And I knew he used to look at mine too. We had each other's passwords, so our sex life has been shit, as my PCOS has caused me to have a nonstop period for months at a time. But before that, I felt pushed away. Like he didn't want me anymore. But when we argue and I ask him to leave, he doesn't. I honestly believe he's only here for our son. So anyway, 5 months ago, he got a new phone and cleared his old phone and gave it as he was at work. I decided to restore his old phone, his old photos. To my horror, there were 1,500 images of women. This is not an overstatement amount. There were lots of sexy models, fine, but his colleagues included screenshots. His catalog included screenshots of his 2 ex-girlfriends, some of our female school friends from years back, females we knew, no family friends, and even some of his cousins. When I confronted him, he cried, but now this has been leaking in my mind. And there is something seriously wrong with him. Something seriously wrong with me. I mean, why would you rather look at 50K other women than me? It's really getting to me. It has been on my mind all day. I don't feel our relationship is working. He's been so distant. Can someone shed light on this? We are month 29 and just heartbroken. What was the deep breathing about?
I mean, you already know my first response, so I don't. You already know my response. So.
It just seems disgusting to me. And then he has his ex-girlfriends in there. He has people from school,
family, friends, and cousins.
yes,
He got cousins. So
some of his cousins. Like, you're a freak. I don't know. Now I think it's a problem. Like, it's a problem, and that isn't anything that you can like work through unless you're going to work through him having these problems and him going to get help for it. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know. At this point, you should just leave. I just feel like, how are we gonna look past that? Or how are we gonna go unless he go gets help, and then that might not even help him either.
So
That's a
okay,
give
I'm
or
gonna
take.
do an unpopular theory. I'm gonna do
Okay.
like an unpopular theory. Men are gross, and I think we underestimate how many men keep news of women once they have ended whatever
That's
they have.
true.
I think men definitely keep those.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I don't know if they go back to revisit. I don't know. I just think that they keep them. And I don't think he's necessarily odd for this. I think it's just something they do. Also, I think men have a lot of weird sexual stuff that they keep from the women they love. And I think it's a lot more than we think. You know of a particular situation where, like, even as I before I left though, I was finding all types of stuff. And I was just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yo, yo. And I was ticked off, one, because I'm like, if anybody's okay with that, it would be me. So why wouldn't you just be open about that? That was really what ticked me off.
Mm.
It wasn't even all the crazy stuff I found. Which, by the way, I never addressed it with him. I never even told him. Matter of fact, I don't even think he will realize why I actually really left. Because I went off on one thing. I was mad about a whole other thing. I was mad about a couple other things. He probably still sitting there somewhere like, because of this. No, it's everything. But with that said, that wasn't even the first time that has happened though. Like, I have met men I've dated, and they just have this other side that they keep from the woman they're trying to date for whatever reason. Because, it's almost
Mhm.
like it's almost like because they're dating the woman that brings out the version of them that they want to be, but there's
Yeah.
still a version of him that he tries to hide from that woman, but it's
Mhm.
still a version of him. And I think you're gonna find that across a lot of men. And it's just, but it might not be to that level, and it might not be in that way. It could be other stuff. It could be, he got Barbie Playhouse in his back of his closet. Every Barbie since
Mhm.
1999 still in their boxes. And there's nothing wrong with that, but he don't want you to know that about him because he a football player.
Yeah.
And he is known as macho and whatever. I do think, yeah, the issue is friends, because that's, to me, crossing a line. Like, yo, it shouldn't be any of my mutual
Mhm.
friends, because now that makes me feel insecure. Like, I
Yeah.
now feel, and then on top of that, like, I've gained a lot of weight. Also, I wish everybody would just be more loving and kind to women who have given birth. Even if that
Mhm.
child's 3 years old, even that child's 4 years old, even that child's 5, people really underestimate how much a child changes your body.
Yeah.
There are certain things that happen once I got pregnant that I am still dealing with now and never went away after I had pregnant. Issues that, like, never happened until I got pregnant. And now it's just a thing. There
Mhm.
was one girl who, one of those rappers' girlfriends was posting on, like, the shade room or something, and she had recently given birth, and she had a picture of, like, a whole bunch of hair in her hand, and she was like, y'all, can y'all help me? What is going on? I feel bald every time I wash my hair falls out. Yeah, and I've been experiencing that since I've got birth. Like, it never got better. Like, there was a period where it slowly got better. So I say that because at first she talks about how she got PCOS and how that's affected her. And so she's already sensitive because PCOS, it changes your body. It's harder to lose weight. A lot of women, they grow facial hair and things like that. It's very hard.
Mhm.
And especially the men who got them pregnant, like, yo, she put her body on the line to give you this child. Appreciate her in that body.
And you're not even accepting it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's certain things that happen when women give birth that changes them. And we
Mhm.
don't know how exactly it's going to change it. Sometimes we don't recognize the change until 10 years later. But there's things that happens that changes women's body for years. That's not just me saying it because I've seen it. No, there's whole research studies on this. There was a study about how, like, mom brain was a thing, and how it did not go away until 2 or 3 years after birth. Like, they did a study where they scanned women's brains before they got pregnant, during their pregnancy, and then they followed them for, I think it was like 5 years. And they found that on average, it was either 2 or 3 years where women's brains start returning back to how it looked before they got pregnant. I mean, on one hand, I'm just I'm not trying to play both sides, but it's just like on one hand, be kind to her because she's going through a lot, and it's not going to make your wife feel better to come and see that you have naked pictures of people she sees every day, you see every day, and now she knows that it's a possibility you
Yes.
go home and then look at them. That is a self-esteem killer. On the flip side, playing devil's advocate, I think a lot of men are gross like that. Like I think a lot of them have these things. I think a lot of men have fetishes that they don't tell their wives or their girlfriends per se. And here's the thing, this is one thing I found out.
Mm-hmm.
Even people who are like just very sexually active and sexually adventurous, they will find that their partners still have a side they don't tell. And you'll be like, what in the world? I have been down for everything,
Yeah.
yet you
Yeah.
still have this thing that yeah. So that is definitely a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, both sides of the scale, I can see both points. But on his side, I say, yeah, bro, you need to delete that. One, I promise you, those other women do not know you still have their old pictures saved. And they will want
Mm-hmm.
you to delete it if they knew.
I'm sure. I'm positive of that.
Mm-hmm. Because women, we don't hold on to that. Like once it's over, we delete. We delete y'all stuff.
No.
It's not in
No.
our phone.
Exactly.
You are no longer specially saved in the hidden folder, okay? You don't been deleted. And so this will be our last question. It goes, today is day 5 without my partner by my side. I miss him, but I don't want to hurt anymore. My 12-year-old daughter, she's over him. It also hurts because I feel like I'm torturing him. He wants to come home and be with his family. He's staying at a hotel right now, but there's so much tension still. Everyone thinks it's best for us to just let it go. Because this is the 3rd time he has hurt me to the core, the 2nd nervous breakdown, and I'm 6 months pregnant. A part of me wants to try and work things out because he wants to improve our relationship, and he's a really good dad and provider. But I'm afraid that it will be a waste of time and the cycle will continue. I'm also self-conscious about appearing weak in the eyes of my daughter and my family if I do let him back in. He did suggest couples therapy, but I don't want to move forward in our relationship unless I know it's stable and not toxic. But he wants to rush in like nothing has happened. It's so tough, and I am so torn. I felt like he really did abandon us again after I've put so much trust in us, and some of my family members felt like he had true intentions of leaving because of his history. His reactions during and after this whole thing is scary too because he's been checking on me every day since everything happened. Sometimes he's very apologetic and wants to work everything out. He hasn't missed any prenatal appointments for our baby. He asks if he can attend the one I have later on today. He's even told me to let him know if I need help with groceries or anything. But then the next moment, he feels like I have no hope and wants to throw everything away when I express how I feel. But that's not the case. He just gets so angry and starts saying cold things about my family and me. He feels like we're ungrateful and now he feels used. We've been together on and off for 2 years. He's broken up with me before last year because he was under so much stress dealing with his other children from other relationships. When I finally agreed to take him back, he promised not to ever leave us again. For the most part, he's very sweet, giving, loving, and goes above and beyond. When we disagree, he feels things are not going his way. He gets so angry, and I'm no help because I'm too hot-headed as well. I try to take into account he lost his best friend about a month ago, and for the most part, he tries to do any and everything for my family, which is more stress. He also gave up his place about 3 months ago because I preferred him being home with me since we see a future together, and he was here with me most of the time. He gave up everything, his bed and his furniture, everything for me. And now he's sleeping in a cold hotel room begging to come home to me. But I don't know what to do. I'm picking up on a lot of manipulation tactics. That's
Yeah.
thing one I'm picking up on. Any person that is not okay with you expressing yourself, like when you're time for you to express yourself and they blow up, That is
Mm-hmm.
manipulation. That is
Yeah.
manipulation. That is them controlling how much you get to say and controlling y'all dynamic. Because now they're creating a dynamic where you feel fearful to say what you really want to say. They're creating a dynamic where you know you have to walk on eggshells in order for this to work. And I think we're good on picking up physical signs of abuse, not so much emotional signs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
We,
so. I agree with
yeah.
that.
I think when we see somebody with a black eye, we're like, girl, no, you got to leave him. Let's create an escape plan. What do we have to do? But when you see a friend that's just worn down and torn down, and you're like, girl, what's going on? And you're just like, yeah, he just makes me feel little, and he, just tells me I'm wrong a lot. And people kind of laugh it off, like, oh, y'all gonna work it out. Because it doesn't sound as
Mm-hmm.
serious. She agrees that she has a temper as well. But it's just, honestly, it's reminding me of like cycles of abuse of when the person blows up, does whatever it is, whether it's put their hands on you, you know, burn furniture, whatever. Once everything's calmed down and y'all speak, they say, I only did that to scare you. I wasn't really going to hurt you. I was just trying to
I
teach you
wasn't
a
gonna really do
lesson.
it. I was just talking.
Hmm.
And how do you know? You
I was
don't.
just
And
doing
that's
that to teach you a
abuse. Yeah.
lesson. Yeah. And then after you have that honeymoon
Mm-hmm.
phase where they're real sweet again. Yeah, now he got all the baby appointments with you. Yes, now he's checking to see if you want food. Are you okay? Need anything? Yeah, that's what they do. That's a part of it. We need so much better studies on emotional manipulation. Uh, 'cause it's just
Mm-hmm.
one of those things that's hard to see while it's happening. It's easier to see in hindsight. But that's what I feel like is going on
Yeah.
here. I feel like he is using the excuse that I'm sleeping in this cold hotel floor to make her feel guilty. And the biggest thing that really touched home for me, and the reason why I wanted to read it, is that she's like, I'm scared though if I do. She said, my daughter is over it. But I'm scared if I forgive him, my daughter will look at me as weak. And because of the way she phrased that, it has me to believe her daughter has seen some shit between them. And this was probably just the
Yeah.
last breaking point. Her daughter has to express to her she's tired of living like this. And she has to live like this because you're living like this. And
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case,
And yeah.
you need to sit there and think about if what your daughter sees and your daughter's perceptions of love, of women, and how women should be treated in relationships and what they're taught to tolerate in relationships, if it's important for you, for her to see that as you keep playing house with this man, or is it important to teach your daughter to walk away from situations that no longer serve her?
I guess a whole lesson in how you making your decision for your daughter too. So
Mhm.
it's something to think about.
I have a homie who me and him
Yeah.
had a conversation, and this is before I knew he cheated, but we had a conversation about just childhood stuff. And I was saying, I was like, men don't understand how much cheating affects their whole family. Because when y'all cheating on some selfish shit. And y'all not thinking about y'all wife. Y'all damn
Mm-hmm.
sure ain't thinking about y'all kids. Y'all thinking about little him and her. And I was like, but the thing is, it's gonna fall out. It's gonna come out one way or another. And you have broken that wife, your woman. And okay, now the kids are seeing the wife broken. They know you did something that caused that brokenness. Now, y'all dynamics have caused this instability in the home because of your actions. So now kids are seeing instability in the home because of your actions. Kids are now seeing a mother that's crying all the time, that is just no longer seeming like herself, seeming like a shell of herself because she's so hurt. Seeing you outside of the house and you being all dramatic about trying to get in. And then, some of these men, they'll switch it. If you don't forgive them the first or second time, now all of a sudden, but if you would have just kept, you know how they do. But I was talking to my homeboy about this, and I was like, and none of y'all sit there and think about how your daughter is sitting there and taking in all that, and how you're teaching your daughter that men can't be trusted. That while you are sitting here breaking her
Exactly.
mother's heart, lying to her mother, causing y'all home to be constantly unstable, you're teaching your daughter that men aren't safe, that you cannot depend on men, that you cannot trust men.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, people think kids don't pick up on stuff. They do. They do. Hell, half my
Yeah,
therapy
that's right.
sessions is about stuff from my childhood. Like, we definitely pick up on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually when you're kids, you're smart enough to know, like, I don't think I was supposed to see that. So you don't say nothing. When kids see stuff, they understand stuff. And I think that's something that she really does need to look into, because it seems like her daughter has made it clear that she's over it. This is one of the issues when dating with a kid. Like, you now have to take your kids' considerations into your plans with dating this person. It's no longer, okay, he hurt you and you forgive him. Okay. But was daughter hurt? Was son hurt? Did son forgive him? Did
Mm-hmm.
daughter forgive him?
Right. And everything plays out in front of them, so it's just like you got to be careful about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then
You got to be
also
careful about that.
the whole, if you get back together with him, you're already pregnant with his baby. What does that look like for her, who
Mm-hmm.
she has already made it clear she's out of it? So now it just looks like you went off and started your own individual family away from her. Like, she in a household, but y'all the family.
Mm-hmm.
So it just sounds like this guy is extremely emotionally abusive. You don't get up and pack, because that's what they're saying. She came home, he had took all his things, packed his things, like he left. Wasn't answering her phone calls and so forth. So she had a whole breakdown. And then should I say, well, I was just trying to teach you a lesson. That's emotional manipulation.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. If he would do that over something stupid, he's gonna do something even stupider over the big things. But not only that, I don't even know if I believe he did it to teach her a lesson. I really feel like there was some chick he was gonna slide through with and it didn't work. And that's when
Yeah.
he decided to start answering his phone calls again. Because also, if it was just to teach me a
Mm-hmm.
lesson, why were you answering your phone calls?
Yeah.
Because you thought Betty was gonna let you come stay with her, and Betty was like, "No, no, no, no."
And it didn't follow through, right?
Use a Monday at 6 o'clock. That's your time slot. Then nobody said you can move in. Get back to your place. And
Exactly.
yeah. So I think that is where it is. I personally, that is when I would say, I think you need to get up and leave him. I know it's hard when you're pregnant to leave a person. Because you're pregnant, I won't say. How about that? I won't say what I think you should do. Because I know when you're about to be a mom, you're about to be a single mom, again, it's really hard. It's hard being a single mom financially. It's hard being a single mom emotionally. It's hard being a single mom. And then you're adding another child to it. Even when you get ready to want to go live your life
Mm-hmm.
again, now it's even more complicated, because now you got two different people you got to figure out what you're going to do with. When is her daddy coming? Okay. And when's your daddy
Right.
coming? Okay. Because everybody daddy makes sure I have Friday night to myself. It just seems complicated. And I get that. I just don't think it's a reason to
Mm-hmm.
stay. Staying for a kid is never
Yeah.
a good reason to stay. You ain't gonna do nothing but mess that kid up, because y'all should have left.
You're already messing your 12-year-old up. Now it's just like the next one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not worth it.
It's really, really not. So, you single mamas, and that's your choice. I get it. Being a single mom is hard. You being a single mom with two kids
Mm-hmm.
is hard. So I won't knock you if you make the choice that you make. But I do want to say, yeah, I do think your daughter's gonna look at you as weak.
So it's something you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Like he might just do that again. Your daughter just keeps seeing it, the repeat cycle. And she's laying out the blueprint of how she's gonna act in her relationships. So
Alrighty, that is all the
that's it.
questions we have. Did you have anything you
Yeah.
wanted to share as an update for this week?
No, I don't have anything new. Well, I did a self-care thing last week, but I guess that
Mhm.
counts.
You
So,
posted it on the page too,
I don't
right?
have anything else to share.
You posted on the page too,
Yeah,
right?
mhm,
Right.
and I
'Cause
picked
that was
one.
a thing.
Yeah,
That was
I
a
did.
thing. Good. 'Cause y'all don't know
Yes,
how
I
hard it
posted
is for
that, so that
me.
is what I did.
Y'all don't understand how hard it was for me to keep making like stills and stuff for our episodes, but I had to block out Meek's face. So the fact that now she's like, no, let the world see how beautiful I am. It's really helping me. It's really helping me with the designs, man. There was only so many times I could strategically put a cloud over your face. Like I can only do that so many times.
Yeah, it is what it is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more open. But yeah, I did that, and so I'm excited to see the next thing that I'm going to.
Yay. My self-care was gonna be travel. I booked a flight to Miami for the 15th. And now I
Mhm.
don't think I'm going. So that's where I am.
Why not?
Because my
We'll talk
flight, I
about
got a
that later. Yeah.
really, really cheap flight, but I, so you know how I am about hotels. Guys, I'm really bougie when it comes to
Mhm.
hotels. Like when I travel, the most important part of the trip is I like where I'm staying. I feel comfortable in that bed. I feel comfortable
Mhm.
washing my feet in that shower. It's just, yeah, it's big. Especially when I go to beaches, like um, I want a view. I want to be able to walk to the sand. So, anyways, I was trying to get that all for under $20, and I couldn't find it. So, I had to up it up, and I ups it ups, and for what I want, they're talking like 500, and this was just supposed to be a quick cheap
Uh,
thing. Yeah, some of it's my fault because I found a
mhm.
really great place for a great price that I didn't jump on right away because one, I didn't have the money for real. I would have had to move money around to do it. And so I was just like, no, I'm trying to learn to be more financially responsible. So I was like, I have to wait until my check comes, and then my check comes, I'll look. When I looked, it wasn't there. And so now I'm just like, well, hopefully it'll become available. But my flight was so cheap that if I just don't go, I just don't go. It is what it is. But other than that, that's all we got. And we will have a new episode for you guys next Thursday. Bye.